So let me take the attendance. Very good afternoon. Let me take the attendance. Chirayu, Gaurav, Jaipal Singh, Lagan, Lucky, Naman Singh, Rishabh Goyal, Sagar, Shirvi, Shubhang, Neha
Yes,
Guptani. Okay, so let us start the class today. So we are going with the Sale of Goods Act now. Okay, so Sale of Goods Act, as I have already told you, this is a act which is you know uh, which is a part of which was a part of the Indian Contract Act 1872, and as discussed before also, section this Indian Contract Act 1872 is up to section 1 to section 75, and then from section 124 to 238. So the sections in between, that is section number 76 to 123, these were actually of the Sale of Goods Act, which has been severed off from the Indian Contract Act, and a separate act has been created which is called Sale of Goods Act, because this these particular provisions were regarding, specifically regarding the sale of goods only. So that's why the Sale of Goods Act was formed in 1930, which was a part of the Indian Contract Act only. Okay, so it is regarding that. So let us just go with this Sale of Goods Act 1930. So this is session number 21 in which we are in, and definition and nature of the Contract of Sale of Goods Act we will be discussing today. So as an overview of this act of the 1930, there is an agreement which is to be there, and as a virtue of the agreement there is a transfer of property of goods. So here the most important thing is the only goods are dealt in. If services are there, it may not be covered under the Sale of Goods Act. Okay, so agreement of transfer of property in goods for certain price is there, and this particular contract must be having all the essentials of a valid contract. So agreement, there has to be two parties. So the two parties will be buyer and the seller, and the transfer of property can happen. So there can be immediate transfer of property and transfer of property yet to be done in the near future. So if the transfer of property happens immediately, then it is called sale. And if the transfer of property yet to happen in the near future, it is called agreement to sale. But sale and the agreement to sale both come under the sale only. Okay, so this is inclusive definition of both the things. Okay, so price is the money consideration which is to be received. So until and unless anything mentioned, so price has to be a price in cash only, not in kind. Further, the goods can be existing goods, future goods, or contingent goods. So existing goods are the goods which are existing at the time of formation of the contract, whereas the future goods and contingent goods are those goods which are not there at the time of the contract, but will arrive in the future, or arrive just because of the happening of certain event. So existing goods can be specific, ascertained, or unascertained type of goods can be there. So this is all about the contract of sale, which we will be dealing with in this particular session. Okay, so let us go with the introduction. So sale of goods is one of the specific form of the contract recognized and regulated by law in India. Sale is a typical bargain. Now, what is a sale? So sale, if we say it's a bargain between the buyer and the seller. So bargain may be the bargain of price, bargain may be of quality, bargain may be of time of delivery, possession, or you can say it is regarding the terms and conditions of the contract of sale. So there can be a lot of bargains which can happen, and these all are covered under the Sale of Goods Act. Okay, so the Sale of Goods Act 1930 allows the party to modify the provisions of the law by express stipulation if it is so. However, in some places this freedom is also restricted. So we will learn in detail about this while we will be going through this particular act. So Sale of Goods Act 1930 is an act to define and amend the law relating to the sale of goods. It extends to whole India except the state of Jammu and Kashmir. It came into existence on 1st July 1930, as the Indian Contract Act came into existence from 1st of September 1872. So this particular act came into existence on 1st July 1930, or you can say from 1st July 1930, this act was severed, or you can say it was taken out of the Indian Contract Act, and a separate act was prepared as such, which is called Sale of Goods Act. Okay, so let us go with the definition. So buyer and seller. Buyer means a person who buys or agrees to buy. Seller is a person who sells or agrees to sell. Now buyer and seller are complementary and represent two parties to the contract of sale of goods. Both the terms are, however, used in the sense of wider than their common meaning. Wider than the common meaning means buyer is actually a buyer who actually buys, and seller is a person who sells, but who agrees to buy is not a buyer at that time, but this agrees to buy is included, or agrees to sell is also included in the definition of the seller. Okay, and what they have to agree to buy and what they have to agree to sell? The goods. Okay, so the goods means every kind of movable property other than the actionable claims and money. So money is not considered as a goods at all. Okay, and even the actionable claims, which is equivalent to money, is also not at all considered as a good. So other than actionable claims and money, those things which are movable, and it includes stocks and shares, growing crops, grass, and things attached to or forming a part of land, which are agreed to be severed. Severed means to just cut off before sale or under the contract of sale. So section 2.7 is for the goods. If you see, section 2.1 is of buyer, section 2.13 is of seller. And what is between buyer and seller? Goods are between buyer and seller. So 1 and 13, exactly in middle of 1 and 13 is 7. Okay, so section 2.1 is buyer, 2.13 is seller, section 2.7 is goods. So accordingly, you can remember the sections also. I remembered it in this way, that's why I shared it with you. Okay, so this is a wider definition which includes and one more thing, in English law, stocks and shares are not included in goods, whereas in Indian law it is included in the goods, specifically included. What are actionable claims? Are those which can be enforced only by an action or a suit. For example, a debt. Debt is not a movable property or goods. Even the fixed assets, okay, are considered as a goods under section 176 of the Indian Contract Act, read with section 2.7 of the sale of goods. Okay, so actionable claims are those claims which cannot be enforced until unless an action is taken. So actionable claims and money both are excluded to be the goods as such. Okay. Yeah. Next is your classification of goods. So goods can be classified. I have already told you about existing, future, and contingent. And existing goods can be specific, ascertained, and unascertained. So this definition are though given while we will be going with the goods, but let us just understand it over here, so we will be able to interpret it in a better way. Okay. Just a moment, please hold on. Okay, so existing goods are such goods as are in existence at the time of the contract of sale. That is, those owned or possessed by the seller at the time of contract of sale, means that is in existence as such. Okay, so those things which are in existence at the time of the contract of sale are called existing goods, and they may be of following kinds. One is a specific goods. Specific goods means those goods which are identified and agreed upon at the time of at the time of sale. Okay, so for example, the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge 1 mobile which is there. So Whirlpool washing machine 7 kg. So this is specified and finally decided that these goods will be sold. So A had 5 cars of different models. He agreed to sell his Fiat car to B. So B agreed to purchase the same car. In this case, the sale is of a specific goods as the car has been identified and agreed at the time. So car, washing machine, and this Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. Okay, so these are the goods which are there, which are present at the time of the contract, and it has been determined that these will be used for the exchange. So accordingly, this particular, you can say, uh, the means these particular goods are there, which are called existing goods and specific goods. Further, ascertained goods are those goods which are identified in accordance with the agreement after the contract of sale is made. So this term is not defined under the Act, but it has been judicially interpreted. So in actual practice, the term ascertained goods is used in the same sense as that of the specific goods when from a lot of, but actually what the thing is, this is existing. So but has not been determined that what will be sold. So for example, with out of, so for example, there is a heap of wheat. Suppose heap of 100 kgs of wheat is there. So out of that heap of 100 kgs of wheat, I have not yet specified that which 2 kgs I'm going to sell to someone who has come at my shop. Okay, so this is ascertained. The goods are ascertained, but have not become specific. So when from a lot of, out of large quantity of unascertained goods, the number of quantity contracted for is identified. Such identified goods are called ascertained goods. For example, a wholesaler of cotton has 100 bales in his godown. He agrees to sell 50 bales, and these 50 bales were selected and set aside. On the selection of the goods become ascertained. Previously, it was unascertained. So in this case, the contract is for the sale of ascertained goods, as the cotton bales to be sold are identified and agreed after the formation of the contract. It may be noted that before ascertainment of the goods, the contract was a sale of unascertained goods. So as soon as, so initially it starts with unascertained goods, and then afterwards we have ascertained that what goods are to be sold. Okay, so out of the heap is of unascertained, because we do not know which 2 kgs are to be sold. So as soon as 2 kgs are being taken away from the heap, so those 2 kgs will become ascertained goods. Okay. Next is unascertained goods are goods which are not specifically identified or ascertained at the time of making of the contract. They are indicated or defined only by description or by sample. For example, if A agrees to sell B 1 packet of salt out of the lot of 100 packets lying in the shop, it is the sale of ascertained goods, because it is not known which packet is to be delivered. So as soon as the particular packet is separated from the lot, it becomes ascertained or specific. I hope you understood about unascertained, ascertained, and specific goods. Future goods are goods to be manufactured or produced or acquired by the seller after making a contract of sale. For example, we went to a fabricator who is a iron fabricator, and we want him to prepare a gate for our house, which is to be placed in the front of the house. So that fabricator, as soon as he receives the order, he will start preparing the things. Okay, so as soon as he receives the order, he starts preparing or manufacturing the goods which is to come in existence in the future only. So it is not yet manufactured, it is not yet produced. So goods which will arise in the future according to the design which we have given, he will just prepare it. So such goods are called future goods. For example, a contract of sale of goods which is goods is always is an agreement. One more important thing, for existing goods only there will be sale. For future goods and contingent goods, it will be agreement to sale. Okay, so it is an agreement to sell. It is never actual sale, because the man cannot transfer what is not in existence. A thing which is not in existence cannot be transferred. So accordingly, the things which are in existence can only be transferred, and accordingly those things which can be transferred, the actual sale can happen only for those. Otherwise, for the other things which are not in existence, which will come in existence in the near future, there will be an agreement to sell for those goods in the near future only. So for example, 1,000 quintals of potato to be grown on A's field is not illegal. So this the things now you cannot say that sir, this is something which is not in existence, so how come we can enter into a contract? So it is not at all illegal because the things are not existing, but it can exist. But so there are certain things which are neither in existence nor can they exist. So the contract of such type of things will be void. For example, there are no stars on the earth. Okay, so I have contracted to just bring some stars from the universe to earth and then sell it off. So in such a case, such type of contract will not be valid. It will be a void contract. Okay, because it is totally uncertain. Okay, but in case of future goods, there is a chance, there is a possibility that the things will happen. So 100 quintals of potato can be grown on A's field. 1000 quintals of potato can be grown on A's field, and it is not illegal, though actual sale of the future goods is not possible because the goods are not in existence. So this is an example of agreement to sale. In the same way, P agrees to sell Q all the milk that his cow may yield during the coming year. So this is again a contract of future goods and it is valid. Suppose T agrees to sell S the oranges which will be produced in his garden this year. So this is a contract of sale of future goods amounting to an agreement to sell. Okay, contingent goods, the acquisition of which the seller depends on the uncertain contingency, which is an uncertain event, which even seller doesn't know whether it will happen or not, but it is possible to happen. That event is possible to happen. In such a case, the goods arising out of that will be the contingent goods. So contingent goods also operate as an agreement to sell, not a sale, so far as the question of passing the property of the buyer is concerned. In other words, like the future goods, in case of contingent goods also, the property does not pass to the buyer at the time of making the contract. For example, A agrees to sell B a Picasso painting provided he is able to purchase it from the present owner. So this is a contract of sale of a contingent goods. Okay, next is a delivery. Delivery in its form and its derivative. Delivery means a voluntary transfer of possession from one person to another. When a thing is said to be delivered, when there is a voluntary transfer of possession from one person to another. So this is not a transfer of ownership. So delivery doesn't mean a transfer of ownership. It is only a transfer of possession. A person who is possessing one can transfer it to other. So as a general rule, delivery of goods may be made by doing anything which has the effect of putting the goods in the possession of the buyer or any person authorized to hold them on the behalf. So forms of delivery following can be the kinds of delivery. Voluntary transfer of possession by one person to another in either it can be actual delivery or it can be a constructive delivery or it can be a symbolic delivery. Actual delivery happens when the goods are physically delivered to the buyer. Constructive delivery happens when it is effect without change in the custody of the actual possession of the thing, as the case of the delivery by attornment. So you are actually authorizing someone that you will now be the owner of that goods, or the goods may be in custody of someone else. For example, where a warehouseman holding the goods of A agrees to hold them on the behalf of B. For example, A's goods were there in the warehouse and A has transferred the goods by the transferring the goods by the title of the goods. So title of the goods has been transferred by the signing and endorsing the document of title of the goods in favor of B. Now previously the warehouseman was holding the goods on the behalf of A, and now and onwards, because the goods has been transferred, the ownership has been transferred, the warehouseman will hold the goods on the behalf of B. So previously he was receiving the rent of the warehouse from A. Now he will receive the rent of the warehouse of B. However, it is not a question of rent. It is just a question of a constructive delivery, which can happen by transfer of title of documents of the goods from one person to another. Next is your symbolic delivery. When there is a delivery of a thing in token of a transfer of something else. For example, in order to transfer a car to someone else, what we do, we just hand over the keys. So handing over the keys is a symbolic delivery. That is, the delivery of the goods in course of transit may happen by handing over the documents of the title of the goods, like bill of lading or railway receipt or delivery orders, or a key of a warehouse containing the goods is handed over from the seller to the buyer. So this is called symbolic delivery. Okay. Next, goods are to be in a deliverable state when they are in such a condition that the buyer would under the contract be bound to take the delivery. For example, A contracts to sell timber and make the bundles thereof. So there are the bundles of timbers are being made and the goods will be in deliverable state after A has put the goods in such a condition. Next is document to the title of the goods, section 2.4. So document of the, so here comes your one of your assignment. Now you have to write short notes on bill of lading, dock warrant, warehouse keeper certificate, wharfinger certificate, railway receipt, multimodal transfer document, warrant, warrant for the delivery, warrant or order of the delivery as such. Okay. So these are the documents which are used for, these are the documents which are used as a title of goods. So transfer of the property in the goods may happen if you transfer these documents or endorse the transfer on these documents and deliver it to someone else. Okay. So these are used as a proof of possession and control of goods which authorizes or purport to authorize either by endorsement or by delivery the possessor of the documents to the transfer or receive the goods thereby represented in that particular document. So example, bill of lading or dock warrant or warehouse keeper certificate, wharfinger certificate, railway receipt, warrant and order of delivery of the goods. So these all are the examples of the order of delivery of the goods, or you can say document of the title of the goods. So the list is only illustrative and not exhaustive. There can be any other thing also which can be used as a document for the transfer of the title. So any other document which has the above characteristics also will fall under the same category. Though the bill of lading is a document of title, the mate receipt is not a document. So mate receipt is something which is mate means a colleague. So a person who is doing a transport business will send the mate receipt to the other transporter if he has received the goods from that transport to be transported in the future too. So it is regarded as merely as an acknowledgement of receipt. This is not a title of the goods as such. So mate receipt will not be a document of title of the goods. Okay, yes, and any question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I just want to ask a question from the previous topic that you have taught.
Okay. You want me to go on some previous slide?
No, 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 sir. Just a question that when you were taught about the Sale of Goods Act, uh, so sir, recently, sir, you have told that the law is applicable pan India except Jammu and Kashmir.
Yeah, now Article 370 is removed. It is applicable over
Yeah.
there also.
Yes, sir. I just want to confirm that after that also it is
No,
applicable
no,
or
no.
still it is not.
Actually, what the thing is, there is still a stay for certain things, but
Okay, sir.
for a transfer of title of goods and for sale of goods act, because it is regarding not a movable property. It is not regarding immovable property. It is regarding movable property. So people over there are also dealing with this.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so no problem in that.
Okay,
Okay,
sir. Yes, sir. Sir,
good
one thing
question.
more, sir.
Good question. Otherwise, Lagan. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Sir,
Any
one
other
thing
question?
more. No, sir, I just want to request one thing. Sir,
Yeah,
actually, just now you have assigned an assignment, so could you please put it on the post section because
I will. I
generally
will.
we
Sorry,
forgot.
I will.
Forgot, sir.
Or otherwise, Chirayu will do it on your group.
Okay, sir. Fine, fine by that also.
Fine. Okay. Should I proceed now?
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah. So the document amounts to a document of title only where it shows an unconditional undertaking to deliver the goods to the holder of the document. So whosoever will be the holder of document will become the owner of the goods. It has to be it has to be there like then only that particular document will be called a document of title of the goods. Further, however, there is a difference between the document showing the title and document of the title. For example, a share certificate is a document showing the title, but not a document of the title. So it merely shows that a person named in the share certificate is entitled to the share represented by it. But it is only those person whose name is there in the register of members who will be the owner of that particular shares. But it is not allowed. But it does not allow that person. And further, by just transfer of the share certificate to other person will not at all, make other person the owner of those shares. Okay, so you cannot just transfer it by just mere delivery or mere endorsement on the back of it. Mercantile agent, you know very well, because we have already studied about mercantile agent and this brokers, auctioneers in our Indian Contract Act. Next is a property. Property is not a property of land and building. Property over here is a ownership, general property, you can say. So in every contract of sale, the ownership of the goods must be transferred by a seller to the buyer, or there should be an agreement by the seller to transfer the ownership to the buyer. So it means the general property, that is the right of the ownership in the goods, it's not a special property. So when there is a case of a special property is when a person has pledged his movable property to the other person. So a pledger is pledging the property to the pledgee. So what happens? The pledger here, yeah.
क्या?
Yes, Lagan.
Nothing, sir.
So better mute. Okay. So yeah. So pledger has pledged his property to pledgee. So and why he has pledged his property? Because this property is to be kept to the pledgee as a security of the money he is taking from the pledgee. So this is the right of the pledgee is a special right on the property, not a general right. General right means is having the right of selling of the property and the ownership of the property. So the ownership of the property is of pledger, not the pledgee. So in such a case, there will be a special, you can say a property in the name of the pledgee, and the general property will be there in the name of the pledger as such. Okay. Yeah. First, next, if A, who owns the certain goods, pledges to B, A has a general property in the goods, whereas B has the special property or interest in the goods to the extent of the amount of advance to him. Okay. Next is the insolvent. Insolvent is a person when a person ceases to pay his debt in the ordinary course of business or cannot pay his debt. So then a person will become insolvent. Okay. Price means price, which is a money consideration for the sale. Quality of the goods include the state, and the condition actually also includes the whether to what extent the goods are packed. Okay. Next is sale and agreement to sale. So according to section 4.1, a contract of sale of goods is a contract whereby the seller transfers or agrees to transfer the property in the goods to the buyer for a price. So here what is being done is it is a contract whereby seller transfers or agrees to transfer, both are included in this. Okay, the sale includes transfer and agrees to transfer both. Okay, to the buyer for a certain price, that is a consideration. So there may be contract of sale between one part owner and another part owner also. So a contract of sale may be it may be absolute or unconditional. Absolute is without any condition, or conditional means on fulfillment of certain conditions. So where under a contract of sale, the property in the goods is transferred from seller to buyer, the contract is called sale. But where the transfer of property in the goods is to take place in the future time. Okay, so it is to take place in the future time or subject to some condition thereafter to be fulfilled means contingent. So now see the goods which is, so here we are talking of the future goods and the contingent goods, whereas in case of contract of sale, the things are of the existing goods as such. Thereafter to be fulfilled, the contract is called agreement to sale. So there is a clear distinction between the contract of sale and agreement to sale. So an agreement to sale become a sale when the time lapses or the conditions are fulfilled, subject to which the property in the goods is to be transferred. Okay, so when agreement to sale becomes sale, so an agreement to sale becomes sale when the time lapses or the conditions are fulfilled, subject to which the property in goods is transferred. Next is the following elements must coexist so as to constitute the contract of sale under the Sale of Goods Act. First, there must be at least two parties, seller and buyer. Subject matter of the contract must necessarily be goods covering only movable property. So immovable property are not goods, and money is not a good. Actionable claim is not a good. but all the things which are forming a part of the land and can be severed off, can be removed from the land. Suppose, for example, this growing crops are also the goods. Okay, so because it can be taken away, even the trees are also goods because it can be severed off from the land. So it may be either existing goods owned or possessed by a seller or the future goods. So price in the money, not in kind, so should be paid or promised, but there is nothing to prevent a consideration for being a partly in money and partly in kind can be there. Okay, so there has to be at least some part should be in cash, or otherwise it will totally be called as a barter system. So barter is not a sale. So a transfer of property in goods from seller to buyer must take place. Okay, so there has to be a transfer of property. So because of certain things, suppose for example a person is having a position and the other person is only using that property, so it will not be called as a sale. Okay, for example, motorcycles are being rented. Okay, so renting of the motorcycle in such a case will not be a sale. Okay, next is the contract of sale. Maybe it must be absolute or it can be conditional. So it can be absolute means without any condition, or conditional means it can have certain conditions on fulfillment of which it will be called as a sale. So all other essential elements of a valid contract must be present in the contract of sale, that is competency of party, legality of object, whatsoever we have studied in the context. So next question which you have to do as an assignment today is you have to just write a distinction between sale and agreement to sale. So I have certain points of which now you can take a screenshot of this particular screen which is appearing on your mobile or your laptop, so that you can properly write the things. Or if you can write some more points, then it will be of great use for you also and for others also. So let me see how many points do you write validly in these two, the sale and the agreement to sale. So contract of sale, how it is made. So according to section 5(1), a contract of sale is made by an offer to buy or sell the goods for a price and the acceptance of such offer. Okay, so offer is made and offer must be to sell or purchase the goods, and when the offer is accepted by the other person, it becomes acceptance and there is a contract. So contract may provide for immediate delivery of the goods or immediate payment of the price, or both, or for the delivery of the payment in installments, or that the delivery of the payment in or both shall be postponed. So there can be any type of contract. Further, as per subsection 2 of section 5, subject to the provisions of any law for the time being in force, a contract of sale may be made in writing or by word of mouth, or partly in writing, partly by word of mouth, or may be implied from the conduct of the parties. So it is not at all hard and fast and strict that the contract of sale has to happen only uh, uh, in writing. So it can be either in words or in writing, or it can be mix of both the things. Further, if you analyze this section 5, there a contract of sale is made by any of the following modes. What are these? Contract of sale is made by an offer to buy or sell the goods for a price and acceptance of such offer. Next is there may be an immediate delivery of goods, or there may be an immediate payment of the price, but it may be agreed that the delivery is to be made in some future date. So for example, there is some delivery of goods now, or maybe the price is paid now and goods are to be delivered in future, or you can say the goods are delivered now, the price is to be paid in future. So it can be anything. Okay, so there may be an immediate delivery of goods and the immediate payment of price, or even the delivery of the goods and the price may be postponed, or may happen in the future time. So in that case, it will be an agreement to sell. So it may be agreed that the delivery or payment both are to be made in installments. So as more you will pay the amount, more installment of goods you can take up. So something like that can be formed in advance, and still it will be called as an agreement to sale only. So it may be agreed that the delivery of payment both are to be made in some future date. So that is called postponement. So delivery and delivery of goods and the payment to be made in the future date. So it can be delivery can be now, payment in the future, Payment can be now, delivery in the future. Both delivery and payment now, both delivery and the payment future all comprise of the contract of sale as such. So in nutshell, the contract of sale is a contract where the seller transfer or agrees to transfer the property and the goods to the buyer for a price. Where, however, the transfer of property and goods is to take place at a future date or subject to some condition to be fulfilled, the contract is called agreement to sale. So the subject matter of such contract must always be goods. So you cannot have the services as a part of this sale of goods act. So even if some for some service the case is filed as somebody has filed a suit, so the suit will not be maintainable at least under the Sale of Goods Act. Next is the price for the goods may be fixed by the contractor by contract or may be agreed to be fixed later on in a specific manner. But the manner in which the price is to be fixed or the manner in which the delivery of the goods is to be done, that has to be determined well in advance. Okay, so this is all about your contract of sale and its thing. Tomorrow we will be discussing something about the conditions and the warranty. So what are conditions and what are warranties? And you might have listened about कह रहे सर इसमें तो 3 साल की गारंटी है 3 साल की वारंटी है. So can any one of you tell me what is warranty, guarantee, and condition? Any one of you? Yes. गारंटी, वारंटी, कंडीशन नाम तो सुने होंगे पहले ये. Any one of you? Should I ask? मैं पूछूं क्या? Adhiraj. Adhiraj.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Adhiraj, what is warranty? No problem. In general sense, कोई जरूरी नहीं आप इसको मतलब वो करो. No need to analyze the things. What do you understand by warranty in general sense?
Sir, a written statement that you get when you buy something.
You will?
A written statement when you buy something.
Yeah, it is a statement when you buy something. So what is the statement about?
Which promise to repair or replace.
Yes. No. Replacement doesn't happens in warranty. तो फिर उसको वो हम normal in normal parlance में गारंटी में आ जाता है. सब इसकी इतने साल की गारंटी है. अगर कुछ भी हो तो हम instantly replace कर देंगे.
Okay.
Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So that is called warranty. Warranty means to make good the loss. Okay, so whatever losses one is suffering, one is having. So in order to make good the loss, there are warranties. Okay. So what are conditions? Let me tell you, at the time of selling of the goods, the seller usually makes certain statements or representation with the view to induce the intending buyer to purchase the goods. Such representations are generally about the nature and the quality of goods and about their fitness for the buyer's purpose. Okay, so in order to, these are certain statements which are induced, by which there is an induction of the buyer to purchase those goods. Okay, so when these statements or representation do not form a part of the contract of sale, they are not relevant and have no legal effects on the contract. But when these form a part of the contract of sale, the buyer relies upon them, they are relevant and have legal effects on the contract. So if there is some advertisement and some vague type of thing is there in the advertisement of anything, so that particular things may not be applicable. Okay, but when a person is going to contract and he is going to enter into the contract of sale and there is a stipulation as such stipulation has to be honored, and in that case it is called a condition, or these are the statements which form a part of the contract of sale and affects the contract is called a stipulation. However, every stipulation is not equally important. Okay, so this is a very important thing, that every stipulation or every condition or every warranty is not equally important. Okay, so a stipulation in a contract of sale with reference to the goods which are the subject thereof may be conditions or a warranty. So it can be either condition. So stipulation can be condition or stipulation can be warranty. So a condition is a stipulation. Now what is a condition? Condition is a stipulation essential to the main purpose of the contract, the breach of which gives rise to the right to treat the contract as repudiated. Okay, so you can resign the contract, you can repudiate the contract if there is a breach of condition. In case of breach of condition, what will happen? The buyer will be entitled to get his money back and return the goods. Okay, so warranty. So warranty is a stipulation collateral to the main purpose of the contract. So now which is important? Condition is more important because it is essential to the main purpose of the contract, whereas the stipulation which is collateral to the main purpose of the contract is called warranty. The breach of which gives rise a claim of damages but not a right to reject the goods or treat the contract as repudiated. Okay, so warranty is a bit weaker than a weaker stipulation than the conditions. If the condition is breached, so not only damages can be claimed, but at the same time the contract will be treated as a cancelled one or a repudiated one. Okay, so we will continue with the conditions and warranty tomorrow. Just I gave you a background that what we will be studying tomorrow itself. So let me take the attendance now. Yeah. So Aditya Chopra, Akash Jain, Abhishek Singh Sisodia, Adhiraj, Akash Jindal, Ayush Verma, Chirayu, Dipendra Gujar, Dhananjay Singh, Dheeraj Sharma, Dipti Rakesh, Divyanshi, Fazal Ahmed, Gaganjit Singh, Gaurav Sharma, Jaipal Singh, Kanishk Bilochi, Kashish Sharma, Khushi Wadhwa, Lagan Mahipal, Lucky Chaudhary, Manish Khileri, Mihir Agarwal, Naman Jain, Naman Singh, Neha Goplani, Parija Gupta, Pranav Sharma, Priyam Soni, Raghav Singhal, Rishabh Goyal, Rishi Kanungo,
Present, sir.
Nick Yadav, Sagar Shirvi, Sahil Khandelwal, Sangya Gupta, Shashank Khosla, Shriyans Jain, Shubhang, Srajal Purvar, Surbhi Singhal, Tanish Agarwal, Tarun Singh, Ujjwal Gupta, Vaishnavi Mishra, Vishal Chaudhary, Yashashvi Purohit, and Yashpal Singh Mahecha. So these are the students who are present.
Sir.
Yeah. So we'll be leaving for the day. Okay. So have a nice day to all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Take care and
Thank
we'll
you,
meet
sir.
tomorrow
Sir,
again. Thank you. Yes.
sir, you got the assignment?
I have to see. I have not seen the mail.
सर मैंने पहले ही भेज दिया था.
आपने अगर पहले भेजा था तो कोई दिक्कत हुई तो don't worry Dipti, it will be taken care of, right? So sometimes there are so many students, sometimes a mistake may happen, but that's good that you have reminded and keep it up also and others also. So one more thing, let me tell you all. See, these assignments were to be finished long before. So this was an extended date of giving the assignment, not the last date. Last date has gone long back. This is me who is actually giving you a liberty that okay, fine, you submit it now so that I will give you marks, and even the marks I am not deducting for any of you for submitting even now. Okay, but if you will keep on crossing the thresholds, it will be very difficult for me, right? So please do not just take it granted. Okay. So there was deadline before also. So according to that, you should have submitted before. So those who are submitting now must have submitted anyhow by 20th by 6 o'clock. Those who are having even 15 minutes delay after that, that is not accepted. Okay, may it be because of any of the reasons. Okay, please. So that is why your marks are being deducted also, please don't come to me that my marks, 1 mark has been deducted. And further, these are the 4 assignments which I think 6 assignments which I have taken. I think you may have to submit maybe 20 or 25 assignments more. Okay, so 20 assignments means out of these 20 assignments, you will be evaluated when you have submitted on time. Were you having habit of submitted every time late? Okay, so these all things will be considered while providing you marks. And secondly, I'm not a negative person who is here to just cut and deduct your marks. You might have observed by the time. So even the quizzes I have taken, the assignments are there just in order to provide a support. Okay, for your finals also, in order to score good marks in all the aspects of the things which we will be considering. But do not take it granted that I will be giving undue advantage to anyone. Whatsoever is there has to be a transparent one, and that what is over here in all the classes, also all the assignments and all the evaluation part too. Soon you all will be able to see the marks of everyone. Okay, so now yeah, Dipti, you have given before the deadline. I will see to it. You have put your message also. So if it is so, definitely it will be considered. Okay, and the number of assignments which you have given before deadline, those will be considered. Those assignments you have given afterwards, then there will be a proper deduction. But yeah, it's good that you have reminded. It's always there. You are always welcome to ask me anything anytime regarding your marks, regarding your attendance, regarding your understanding, teaching, and please take as much as part as possible in the class. Okay, so that I also get properly engaged, that yeah, I'm not teaching to computer, I'm just teaching to my dear students whom with whom I'm dedicated to do all the things. Okay, I hope that is okay. Chirayu,
Yes, sir.
everyone, Dipti, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Fine, you're most welcome. Okay, then see you in the next class tomorrow. Take care and have a nice day to all of you. Bye bye.